Hey there, thank you so much for tuning into the show. It means so much to me and Aziz that you are actually listening, that there's people really listening to the show. We're having fun with it, and we hope that you're getting a lot of value too. Education is just one of the first steps that anyone should take when they're on a journey towards financial freedom or personal development. And so it's great, you're doing the right things. I want to suggest a second step that you might want to consider if a lot of the things that we're talking about on the show are resonating with you. Consider visiting our website, legatoinvest.com/invest. And there's a button where you can click to gain access to our opportunities. And what will happen is you'll schedule a call with us. We'll talk, we'll get on a Zoom, and we'll get to know your investment experience. We'll get to know you. We'll learn about your objectives. And then if it's a good fit, we'll actually start to present you with real investment opportunities from time to time. And you'll be in the driver's seat where you can say, no, I don't like that one. And yes, I do like that one. And those real decisions, that means that you're actually in the game towards your financial freedom. So consider visiting legatoinvest.com/invest. Again, that's LEGADO invest.com/invest.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Screw the Stock Market. We're recording another timeout episode. I'm still here in this hotel room in Danville, Virginia, where I came to check out some properties. Aziz still at the home office. Good to see you again, buddy. It's just been 5 minutes since we recorded our last episode, but here we are.
You don't got to tell people this, all right?
Hey,
you add some mystique.
We're all about transparency here, man. But what's going on? What do you want to talk about today?
Knowing your lane in investing, I think, is something that we need to talk about. We've had some run-ins with people that don't really know or understand who they are as an investor. And what I mean by this is that the way you view yourself when it comes to like investing and the way that you actually behave are two separate things sometimes. There are two types of investors predominantly. There's passive investors and there's active investors. Not everyone is really meant to be an active investor. It's a lot of work. It takes a lot of effort. It's exhausting. But the payoff is worth it. But some people, they just want to chill. They've worked hard. They've already accomplished everything they want. They want their money to work for them. That's a passive investor. That's where you should be. Or if you still want to stay with your 9 to 5 and you don't have the energy for something else, but you're making good money, passive investor, that's your route. Stick to your lane. If you want to shift lanes in the future, actively, that's fine. But you got to make that conscious decision, one lane or the other. And a lot of people, I think, have difficulties because they view themselves as one thing when in reality they're something else. I think you had a good example of that with one potential investor you were working with at one point, Alex, right?
Yeah, it's happened a lot, right? There's always kind of that, you just reminded me of a story from when I was in high school, actually. And then I'll get to like the actual specific example. But when I was in high school, I was going to go to the NBA, right? I was in 8th grade and I was 6'2", 6'1" and 3/4 of an inch. And the doctor extrapolated how quickly I was growing from 6th to 7th to 8th grade.
Wait. Is that with your afro? Because you had that Elvis fro thing going on.
It didn't even count the afro, but yeah, it was poofy. And then the long face and everything. But he extrapolated. He said, if you continue growing at this pace, by the time you're 18, you're going to be 6'7". And I was like, 6'7", that's huge. Like, wow, I'm going to go to the NBA. And the minute he said that, I stopped growing. But I was still very invested in it. I went to basketball camps all over. I was very passionate. And I got to go to the Georgetown University basketball camp with the coach was John Thompson, who's a very famous coach. And even Patrick Ewing, who was a Georgetown graduate, his kids went there, who I think they actually ended up playing, or at least one of them ended up playing professional and stuff. But he was younger than me and stuff. It was just really exciting for me.
You sound bougie as crap right now.
It's not because I was talented. But the point is that was really interesting. At one of his lectures was all about exactly what you just said: is know your lane, right? Know your role, and play the role that your team needs you to play. And so it was just kind of a long roundabout way of saying, for you as an investor, really reflect on your strengths and your time and your situation, and bring what you need to for your goal, for your team to succeed. And so the specific examples with these investors was there's a referral I got from a close friend who said, oh, talk to my uncle. He's a big time real estate investor, and I think he'd be interested in partnering with you on this specific deal. And we already had raised some money for the deal, so we were on our way towards our goal. And then
it was a syndication deal with a group of people, right?
Yes,
so collectively investing together.
Yeah, so it was a syndication deal where, again, our team was going to be the active managers, and then the passive investors who put money into the deal were going to be passive. And so he liked the deal, he was interested, and he said, okay, well, how much do you need to raise? I'll take the whole thing, And I said, oh, well, we can't, there's only this much left because we've already taken other investors. He's like, oh, no, forget them. Like, just, I want the whole thing. I want to be in on it. I want to be, and he was already a very successful real estate investor. So he knows what he's doing. But, in that case, because of his situation and because of his experience, he wanted to be an active investor, and he was very clear about that. And we couldn't take on another active investor because of the structure that we already had in place. So that deal didn't work out. And then, but sure enough, 6 months later, another deal came back, and he said, okay, I'll take the whole thing. First, he called me an hour after I sent out the initial email saying, hey, we got a deal. And he called me right away. He's like, don't take any money. I'll take the whole thing. And then, it turns out like it didn't work out just because of timing and things like that. But he was quick. He wanted the whole thing. And at that point, we still had the flexibility to structure the deal around him if it would have worked.
Yeah, but it sounds like you were going to have problems because he wanted control.
Yeah. And we would have been willing to do it for a big partner like that. Like, I don't need to have full control over everything. It's whatever makes sense for the deal. And when we have you're right. Like, if we already had partners in there, we already had our structure set up, and we were, a big chunk of the way there towards our goal. You're right. And then I've had other people who just tell me straight up, I'm not interested in syndication. I don't trust anyone. I want to be hands-on on anywhere that I'm putting my money. Which is interesting because the stock market, like the CEO of Coca-Cola or Apple, they are not calling you to consult with you. But me, we actually could still have a conversation, and you actually still could influence me on how decisions are being made as we manage your money. I'm just putting that out there. But anyways, they said, I'm not going to put my money anywhere where I don't have control. I said, okay, fair enough. And, I'll still kind of make a note about that. And when there are JV opportunities for smaller deals or things like that, I know who to call. But, syndication and the fund of funds kind of structure does lend itself towards people who are busy professionals making pretty good money with what they're doing. And if you just honestly reflect and say, do you have time to be on weekly calls at 9 a.m. with property managers, or travel to Danville, Virginia in the middle of the week to tour properties and stuff like that? Some people will be able to say, yes, I do have the flexibility to do that, and I do want to. Well, then, yeah, maybe you can explore that path towards being an active investor. But if you think about that and you say, hey, I have kids, I have responsibility, I have hobbies, I have Sunday night football, I have, whatever it might be that takes up your time, and you're not willing to sacrifice some of those things, that's okay. It doesn't mean you have to stay on the sidelines. You can still get involved with a structure like syndication or funds or other things like that, where people are placing and you're working with knowledgeable professional people who can help you, who have your interest in mind.
But you got to know your lane. You got to know who you are as an investor. It's more critical than anything else. Know yourself.
Yeah. And like, even from our perspective too, I think one of the things that we're desperate to always do is understand our people, understand their fears, their motivations, and a lot of interesting things when we have these conversations with investors is how they haven't asked themselves a lot of these questions. We're like, okay, what do you want out of your investing? And people just say, oh, I want great returns. But there's different forms of returns, right? There's people who maybe skew towards cash flow, And there's people who are maybe more patient and don't need the money right away. And they say, okay, well, I just want something that is going to grow fast. And those are different. Those are different objectives. I mean, a simple example of that could be, okay, I'm a high paid doctor and my salary more than covers my living expenses and then some. So that person might not need cash flow as much, and they just want to put their money in a place where it's going to grow well, grow safely, grow quickly. And then the other person might say, hey, I'm a high income earner, but I'm working myself to death and I can't wait to quit my job. So please give me that cash flow to replace my W-2 income so that I can retire and quit my job in the next 5 years. That's a very different strategy and a different person. So knowing yourself really matters in terms of the kinds of deals that are attractive for you, the teams that you work with, and how you structure everything. So know yourself. Absolutely.
Yeah. And it makes our job easier when we're working with people. If we got to fight you on every deal because you think of yourself as an active investor when you're really supposed to be a passive investor, that's so much stress.
It is. It's challenging. And, again, I want to say, like, we're open to feedback and we're much easier to influence than the CEO of Apple or whatever. We are just a phone call away and that kind of thing. But
yeah.
But I think at the end of the day, it's just knowing yourself. I think we beat that dead horse. So why don't we just call it an episode? Thank you guys for tuning in. Feel free to engage with us on social media. We're on Instagram. We're on LinkedIn. We're on all
TikTok,
those platforms.
YouTube, Facebook.
And yeah, I mean, just to repeat what we said, I mean, we really are eager and passionate about knowing what you like and what you don't like in your investments and what your fears are and so please, like, hit us up and let us know, hey, this is the kind of investor I am. This is the investor I want to be. Because I think you and I were talking about this, and we actually do have kind of the two audiences of a big chunk of the people that listen want to be active investors and they want to learn how to buy apartment buildings or self-storage or whatever it might be, or be entrepreneurs. That's cool. We love having you. And then another chunk of people want to be passive investors and say, okay, I'm interested in real estate. I'm not sure if I'm going to have the bandwidth. And we love having you all. So just hit us up and keep in touch and, reflect on who you are as an investor.
And if you have general questions outside of just what we were talking about today, feel free. We like to answer any questions, help you out on your journey as well.
Thank you, guys. Have a great evening, day, whatever time of day it is for you.